Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman McMenamin.
Mr. Mayor, I respect your views on this subject and the views of all the aldermen here tonight and the views of all the citizens that have expressed themselves well tonight. And I just want to state my views for the record. 4 years ago, I was a yes on this issue with a State Journal Register poll that was taken 4 years ago among candidates for office. I don't think we did that poll in the most recent elections. 1 year ago, I voted present when this issue came to the City Council, and at that time, a year ago, there were 5 no votes on this council, and we failed to pass the ordinance. Tonight, I'm a no, not yet on this issue on Hunter Lake, and I want to explain why. I understand the supporters of Hunter Lake believe enough time has passed discussing the merits of the supplemental water supply options, and the time to act is now. And I understand they believe we have studied the options enough and that Hunter Lake is the most economical approach. They believe a second lake is a necessity. Hunter Lake would be a nice asset to have, but we can't have everything in life, and the city can't have everything at once either. We have to make choices among competing demands for our municipal dollars. So I disagree with all the premises, or most of the premises for Hunter Lake, and I cannot support spending what could accumulate to $150 million on Hunter Lake, and that's for 4 major reasons. First is, and it's been stated here tonight on numerous times, that we can't afford it at this time. The water shortage is a speculative probability that may occur once every 100 years. So once every 100 years, we may have to suffer some inconvenience to address the shortage. But our sewer repairs and our sewer problems impact our homeowners every spring, every summer, and we all get phone calls about our sewer problems. That's an annual recurring problem which needs addressing now today. And when we had our presentation a month ago about just the northeast section of City of Springfield, which is about 1/10 of Springfield, the estimate was $48 million. And we don't have a spending plan for that $48 million. And our citizens expect a spending plan for that 1/10 of our city. So now we're about to go down this path on a speculative need, a hypothetical need, but we haven't addressed what's on the minds of our citizens on a month-to-month basis at certain times of year. Furthermore, we haven't stabilized the electric division yet, either in terms of its debt or its operations, and we're working on that, but it hasn't been resolved yet. And we're facing dollar cutbacks from the state of Illinois. That's another huge uncertainty. But most alarming of all, for me, from the studies and being on the council for 4 years, is our police and fire pension debt. 30 years ago, that debt was about $10 million of unfunded liability. And at that time, our police and fire pensions were 90% fully funded. Today, based on realistic actuarial accounting, we're less than 50% fully funded, and the pension debt of this city is getting up there at $250 million. So in 30 years, we've gone from $10 million to $250 million. We don't have a way out of that box yet. And so we have these other competing needs and that need to be addressed. And so the affordability is one issue. The second major reason for not supporting Hunter Lake at this time is that we have not, in fact, explored all the options. That has been discussed here tonight. Among these are the cumulative effect of conservation methods and rate restructurings that have been so effective in the western states, which encourage the avoidance of wasteful use of water and encourages our citizens to be wise in the purchase of appliances and that kind of thing, and our wholesale users as well, and institutional users. And also among our options, which has been discussed just by one speaker tonight, was the emergency permit that the city had for many years that allows the city to dam the Sangamon River just south of Riverton, south of I-72, in an emergency. And for reasons that have never been explained to this council, in fact, that emergency dam option has never been talked about until tonight that I can remember in the 4+ years that I've been on the council. And for reasons unexplained, we've allowed that permit that had been issued to the city to expire, and it was never renewed. So it seems odd to me that on the one hand, we go forward with the $100 million option of a new lake, which we might not get for, even if we said yes and we go all full bore, henceforth, we might not actually have that additional water supply for 10 to 20 years because of the time it takes, but we let our emergency option expire. And I understand we're in the process of renewing that and getting it started again. I think we should do that, and that it's one of the options we haven't talked about. The third major reason for not supporting Hunter Lake at this time is that the calculations of future water needs and lake yields are based on a multitude of speculative premises and assumptions stretching out for decades into the future. These assumptions and premises can change. However, the facts that we do know of that are supported and substantiated by City Water, Light, and Power is that in recent times, our water demand has been flat. Our water demand has been flat. And so that's one fact. And then again, the existing supplemental water supply source, which is the existing dam in the South Fork, has been very effective for 60 years, and it has replenished the lake, as a couple of speakers have mentioned. The fourth reason I cannot support Hunter Lake at this time is that we cannot saddle, and this is a big one, we cannot saddle our taxpayers and ratepayers with additional tax and fee burdens when they are already overburdened and face additional burdens for other reasons going forward. I respect the letter writers of the letter in this morning's State Journal Register, including from our Chamber President, but our Chamber of Commerce President, he does not answer the phone calls from homeowners and apartment dwellers who complain of $400 and $500 monthly utility bills during the summer months and the winter months. But we aldermen, we do get those phone calls, and the homeowners and the taxpayers are worried about our water rates going up, and we know about the sewer rates are going to go up, and the electric rates could go up. We just don't know what the status of that is yet. So I respect the co-author of that letter, the Chamber President, and I also respect the business manager of Operating Engineers, who talks about that we do need jobs. And yes, we do need jobs, but the sewers will create plenty of jobs. The streets that need repair will create plenty of jobs. And the road upgrades will create plenty of jobs. Now, in that letter, they talked about the notion of bringing industry back to Springfield with water infrastructure. But that's unrealistic. Our labor costs in Illinois do not invite such investment, and in fact, our strength lies in our medical, retail, tourism, government, and higher education sectors of our economy. Let's not unfocus from our strengths. And the lure of additional water recreation is not a legitimate reason. Most of our residents cannot afford to be on the water, either in terms of boats or the time to get on the water. And so, in summary, and by the way, we do have existing water resources that are not made available to our taxpayers, including Clear Lake and the gravel lakes that we now control and own that can be made available to our citizens. So in summary, we have more pressing and immediate needs than Hunter Lake at this time. However, I do support holding on to the real estate we have already acquired. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.